right, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't realize that my next guest, Eric Adams, wanted to be interviewed at 5 p.m. Eastern time. I thought it was Pacific time, so he has exactly a half hour. He's a very busy man. I'm sure you know who he is. Please welcome Eric Adams. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. Thank you. Really good speaking with you, and I hope you're enjoying that sunshine in California.
Yeah, so how are things in New York?
The weather is starting to break. We're getting ready to move into summer, but as you know, we are sheltering in place due to the COVID virus that has really captured our entire country. But people are standing strong. We are resilient as Americans, and every once in a while we are tested, and we always come through. And I think we will come through now as well.
Well, you have a wonderful story that, I mean, I'm sure everybody that knows who you are knows your story, but you've overcome you overcame diabetes. You had a stomach ache, and then the next thing you know, I mean, you've done a tremendous job promoting the plant-based diet, living it. So please tell as much of your story as you like.
And this is actually full circle to COVID virus. When you think about it, I was a former New York City police officer before I entered politics. I did 22 years and retired as a captain. And after serving in the state Senate, I became the borough president of Brooklyn. And it was during that time, about 3.5 years ago, that as you stated, I was receiving some severe sharp pain in my stomach. I thought sure it was colon cancer because I lost a good friend to colon cancer sometime earlier during that year. And when I returned to the country, because I was away on business, I decided to go to my doctor. And men, you have to almost drag to the doctor. And when I got there, he checked my colon, he checked my stomach, and he told me that I had an ulcer when I came out of sedation. But he said, Eric, your real problem is your diabetes. He says, your diabetes is at a dangerous advanced stage. It's almost at a coma level. And I need to put you on insulin right away and 3 medications and see if I can get it under control and manage it. But he also told me I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol. My PSA numbers were high also. And what originally brought me to the doctor was an ulcer. I had an ulcer as well. And I just thought that, there were better ways of dealing with it, and I determined to do just that.
Well, how did you hear about a plant-based diet?
Actually, when he told me I was going to be on medicine the rest of my life and I was going to lose my sight, I decided to really take matters into my own hand. And I just didn't believe that. I said that, the body is resilient. And I don't believe I wanted to follow the same fate of my mom, who was diabetic for 15 years and 7 years on insulin. So I did something I like to call extremely scientific. I went to Google and I Googled reversing diabetes, and all of this information came up. Doctors that have now become good friends of mine, Dr. Greger, Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Barnard, Dr. Osfeld, all of this information came up, Dean Ornish, and I called Dr. Esselstyn at Ohio Cleveland Clinic and told him who I was and that I was dealing with diabetes, and he told me to fly down to see him.
That's incredible. And you've helped your mom too with her diabetes, right?
Yes. After flying down to see Dr. Esselstyn, he told me what to do. He told me that it was my diet. And I remember when he told me that, I said to myself, what is wrong with this guy? I'm talking about losing my sight and he's telling me to give up steak. But I just, it just resonated and it sounded right. And so when I returned to the city, I cleaned my cupboards out. And in retrospect, I realized I had nothing healthy in my fridge, nothing healthy in my pantry. Everything was processed. And 3 weeks after going to a whole food plant-based diet, my vision cleared up. And 3 months after, my nerve damage went away and my cholesterol normalized, my PSA normalized, my blood pressure normalized. And then I turned to my mom. My mom stated she wanted to really stop taking the 9 medications she was taking. And she's tried the whole food plant-based diet. And sure enough, mom, in 2 months after doing it, mom called me up in tears telling me she was off her insulin.
I would love to meet your mother. Maybe I could interview her sometime.
Yes, yes, that would be nice.
That would be incredible. I don't know what you looked like before, but you look amazing now. I know we're born the same year. I'm 6 months older than you. You sure don't look it.
Thank you. And you have to be plant-based because you are, as we say in Brooklyn, you're hot.
Thank you so much. Have you been able to influence anybody in your circle since this has happened?
Yes, a number of people. People want to heal, and my story. Not only must the message be good, but the messenger must be trusted. And oftentimes we try to reach people where we are and not where they are, and take them where they ought to be. And in my approach to people, I understand that food is addictive, that it has the same addictive qualities and traits that anything that you're addicted to, let it be drugs or alcohol. And so I understand that I'm dealing with a person or an individual who would like to do better, but for some reason they are addicted to something. And I come from that place. And that is how we have been successful in showing people in incremental steps how they can turn around their diet, either through our Meatless Mondays or our vegan curious meetups that we do here, plant-based meetups we do here, Borough President at the Borough Hall. We give people real, tangible information so they can gradually wean themselves off the addictive qualities of food.
Wow. It just seems to me that whatever your profession, whether you're a police officer or now your job is saving lives.
So true. And I considered that when I took that oath almost 40 years ago, I swore to serve and protect and to do everything I can for not only the children and families of the city, but of this country, and even further. The issue of the chronic diseases is a global issue. And not only is our overconsumption of meat destroying our mothers, it's destroying Mother Earth. And we are committed. One of the programs we're doing here at Bellevue Hospital, we're really excited about, is one of the first of its kind in America, a lifestyle medicine, where we have 700 people who are on a waiting list to get in our program, with over 100 people are participating, and they are able to cycle off their dosage of medicine, and really some are actually even getting off medicine altogether. But it's really showing people how to live a quality life and not just exist. Nothing is more horrific than starting and ending your day worrying about some test, what's the results of a test, what level of medicine that you're going to have, what body part you're going to remove. We are not ill because we get older. We're ill because the food we eat is not made for human consumption for the most part.
Absolutely. We have a nice comment from Louise who says, "Hi from Brooklyn. Eric, you rock. Because of you, I now see the best whole food plant-based stock in Brooklyn and attend all of your community meetings." That's fabulous. Police
Excellent.
officers aren't actually known for having the healthiest diets.
No, no, and I like to put it into the rumor right away that people thought it was a rumor that we like donuts, and yes, we do all kinds. I used to eat every donut you can find. The sweeter, the more jelly, the better, and so it's because of people self-medicate themselves with food. And when you're depressed, you come from a homicide, a robbery, some serious crime. Although we think it doesn't impact us emotionally, in reality, it does. And so you go back to the precinct house or the station house, and you pick up that steak, that cheeseburger, and the different hours that I was doing. I used to do midnights for 13 years. And you don't find some of the best food if you went to the restaurants and eat. And that's what happens to so many of my colleagues. Many of my colleagues after retirement, they have heart attacks or other medical issues. And actually, there's something called the heart bill in the police department, where you go out because you have some type of heart attack or stroke. So it's very real. And to think that now I am far more healthy than I was when I was a rookie in the police department. I actually weighed the same that I did as a rookie. I dropped 35 pounds and I feel great.
That's incredible. And Judy says, "Thank you, Eric, for making such a difference." And not just the diet of police officers, just the amount of stress I'm sure they're under, it is also a risk factor.
And that's so important because when we think about health, we look at our visual presence and we sort of disconnect the mind, body, and soul. What we feed our bodies is actually going to nurture our ability to manage stress and manage our minds as well. You know, when you think of what we eat, we historically remove the brain from that. We believe there's no connectivity between the food we consume and our brains. We think the brain just exists and is separate from our heart, our liver, our lungs, but it's all part of the entire makeup of our human existence. And we had a great doctor here at one of our plant-based meetups where he talked about the connection between Alzheimer's and dementia and the food we eat. There's a direct correlation as you look at places, people who live in the blue zone, particularly one in California, and how people have a better mental outlook. And so much of what we eat impacts how we manage and handle stress as well.
And amazing. Angela says, Eric Adams, one of America's unsung heroes, love this guy's story and how he is now giving back so much. How can I help police officers in my community get healthier? I mean, I see them and I can't just walk up to them and say, hey, eat some kale. I mean, how do I even tell police officers how much I appreciate them? Because I really do, you know, like I want to make a difference.
And that's a great thought to have when you think about how do you give back to the first responders, EMTs, firefighters. They are supposed to drive the ambulance, not be in the back of the ambulance because they have some type of medical condition. And what you can do is meet them slowly. First, introduce yourself to the union head. Police officers are very focused on being part of the brotherhood. So you can reach out to the union head, send them some information, and ask, can you come in and speak at one of the roll calls and talk about, you know, the condition on the importance of being fit and what does it mean? And then let them taste a good home-cooked, vegan, plant-based meal. Because once you realize that going plant-based doesn't mean you're going to walk around with dry kale or grass in your pocket like people feel. People start to say, wait a minute, I think I can do this. And then challenge them to do one meatless Monday, you know, and if they're able to see the results of how, if they go a week or so without meat and see how their numbers drop, they will have a better understanding. And give them easy things to read. Like Dr. Greger's videos are really good. You ask someone, are you experience heart disease or diabetes? Here, let me give you this simple video that you can watch, and that would encourage them. And if you could get the precinct commander to use their video conferencing machines to show every roll call, show a different video, something basic, you want to gradually move them forward. Because remember, police officers investigate crimes. They go where the facts take them. And if you give them the factual data and with a good visual presentation, they'll be more receptive to break their habits of dealing with bad eating habits.
That's great. Thank you. Is it true you got rid of the vending machines in your offices?
No, we still have them, but they serve healthy items. You know, we want people to snack, but snack healthy. When you look at things like nuts and other items, you know, you can eat a healthy habit. We got rid of a lot of the high fat, high saturated fat, some of the problems that people were experiencing, and showing people how to eat healthy. And a lot of my staff, they have made changes in their diet. Some have gone plant-based altogether, and some have started, you know, cutting out meat, slimming down meat. And, you know, when you look at the large number of people I have employed with me and realize that many of them were experiencing some type of medical crisis, I had a great deal of my employees that were dealing with some type of medical issue, and they wanted to find some relief instead of having to go the traditional route.
Great. Stephanie asks if you had any pushback or negative feedback from friends and coworkers when you first started this, and how difficult was it for you to go plant-based?
That's a great question. And yes, 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 yes. You know, If there's one way to temporarily lose friends, is to let them know you're no longer eating meat. You can say, I'm giving up cigarettes, they'll still embrace you. I'm giving up alcohol, they still embrace you. But when you say you're not eating meat, it's like, what? What are you, some type of Martian or something like that? But once people saw, and I tied it into health reasons, people realized that, it was like a hold on a moment here. We care about you. We want to be healthy. And then people slowly, when they got out of their group setting, they slowly started calling me and say, tell me again about that diet, because I have some type of issue or ailment. And so people want to heal. We just never connected the ailments that we were experiencing with the food that we were eating. That is the biggest lie that have been fed to, excuse the pun, but fed to Americans. We believe that it is hereditary and it is in our DNA that we get these diseases. No, it's not in your DNA, it's in your dinner. It's in your lunch, it's in your breakfast. And until we really educate people to say, you don't have to have kidney damage. As one doctor told me, your kidney problems is due to it runs in the Black community. No, it doesn't. Fried chicken runs in the Black community. Fast food runs in the Black community. And all of these things that we are experiencing, we have to understand is not due to our genes, is not due to, who your parents are, it's due to how we have really destroyed the beauty of good tasting food in a natural sense.
It's beautiful. I love that. It's not your DNA, it's your dinner. That should actually be a mug or a t-shirt. Speaking of dinner, Franny actually wants to know what you like for breakfast.
I start my day, when people look at the term breakfast, they don't realize it's two words put together, break fast. I break my fast. I don't overshock my body. I break my fast with a nice smoothie that I just love. A cup of blue or blackberries, a huge handful of chopped kale or spinach or broccoli, a group of different powders, cacao powder, and there's a group of powders that I do. If you go on my Instagram account, I did a video on it at BP Eric Adams. You'll see one of my videos shows a great smoothie that I make every morning. That is how I break my fast. It actually holds me until lunchtime around 1 o'clock, where I would put together I have this nice go-to sort of stew-like that I take black lentils and put them in my NutriBullet with garlic, onions, pepper, a lot of seasoning, and then I sort of liquefy it lightly and I pour it over some greens, mushrooms, red bell peppers, chop a little fruit to give it a little sweet taste every once in a while, maybe some yams, and just mix everything together. And it's just a great meal. Sometimes I'll put a little grain in it to give it a nice little full taste, and flax seeds, because flax seeds help thicken the liquid a little. And it's just a great, healthy meal that you are filled for hours on a day.
That's terrific. Angela said you mentioned once that you never cooked before you transitioned to this diet.
No, my best meal was toast, and I would burn that 80% of the time. And when I first started out plant-based, my food was so horrid. I used to make a cereal in the morning with flax seeds, and I didn't grind them. So you could only imagine, they would get stuck between my teeth. And I was like, oh my God, this is how I have to eat? And then I just stuck with it. And probably a month later, I started building a repertoire of different meals. And now I make cheese out of nutritional yeast and garbanzo beans, chickpeas. I make a nice cheese with spices out of that. I make my own ice cream with frozen bananas, peanut butter, chocolate. And it's just, oh man, I'm getting hungry just talking to you.
That's great. That's terrific. Hey, the doctor that originally diagnosed you with diabetes, has he seen what's your progress?
That's so funny that I remember coming to him 3 months later for the test of my A1C. And when he tested it and he looked at my numbers, he was like, wow, because my numbers were in the high teen when I went to visit him. And he says, wow, the medicine is really doing a good job. You're all the way down to 5.7. And I gave him the full bag of the medicine. And I said, doctor, I never took the medicine. I went on a plant-based diet. And he would call me whenever he had a patient that was not doing well, as so many patients aren't, because there's a lot of behavior science behind this. He would call me and have me speak with them. And, you know, they say, hey, Borough President, I know you're busy, but I have this patient here that his numbers keep going up. Can you please talk to him? But he was really amazed. My ophthalmologist was also amazed because she saw my vision come back. You know, everyone was amazed. My endocrinologist was extremely amazed when she saw the turnaround. My internist was amazed. So everyone was really surprised. And I sent the book, How Not to Die by Dr. Greger, to my endocrinologist. And I told her, she says, Eric, I'm not into these medical books. And I said, please just do me a favor, just read this one. She wrote me back late at night an email at 1 a.m. She says, I started this book when I got off my rounds and I couldn't put it down. And I just wanted to call you that I've never read anything like this. And I went to medical school. I was never taught this before. And she changed and altered her entire practice around that interaction.
That's incredible. You're just changing so many people's lives. It'd be so cool if all your doctors embrace this like you did. Sharon says, Eric Adams is such an amazing inspiration and a wonderful role model. Brooklyn residents are lucky to have him. Here's a question from a different Angela. She wanted to know if the police stations have gyms inside the way that fire departments do.
Yes, they do. And I spend a lot of time. I used to exercise on a regular. Uh, you, great gym. Just about every station, the officers would get together, and they would pool their money together, and they would buy the gym equipment. So just about every precinct they will have a gym. But the thing is, you can look fine externally, but the question is how are you internal? How's your inside? And I've always exercised. I've always jogged. And so I always had a muscular build, but through the layers of that, my body was toxic with fat and sugar. I was really an explosion, ready to just explode. And the pain in my stomach actually saved my life, because clearly, if I didn't change course, I would not be here now speaking with you. And I always remember that. And my goal is to have other people change course. A chronic disease hijacks your life. You know, when you have a family member who is going back and forth to the hospital, when they're experiencing a test, to deal with the cancers, to deal with all of these issues that come from a chronic disease, not only does it impact the individual, but it impacts the caregiver. And, you know, it's something to really think about, to watch people who have lived a very inspiring and lively interaction to all of a sudden reach a point where they are no longer themselves. You look at a computer screen at your job and you're really just staring at it. You're not really functioning. You know, you're thinking about, you know, what's next? What is the operation going to do? And I want to prevent as many families as possible from going through that. I was blessed by those doctors who put me on the right course, and the least I can do is share the blessing.
Great. I think we have time for one more question. This is from Deanne. Where do you get your vision, inspiration, motivation to do all that you have done politically in your community and relation to health? In short, what is the why that makes you cry?
That's a beautiful question. I know we are so much more in our existence. And we have been just told so many lies. You know, you have to unlearn to learn. And it's really challenging. And I wish sometimes I was able to have my son is 25 now, and I try to instill a lot of things in him. But it's so unfair what we tell our children and what we're teaching our children. And I'm just amazed through this journey how we realize how many things we're taught that are just wrong, just wrong. You know, our ability to meditate and bring ourselves at peace, our ability to connect with people and how to communicate, our ability to nourish our every cell in our body. You could predict the longevity of a child when that child is in his or her mother's womb, based on what that mother is eating. If we would just turn around all the lies we were taught about making athletes feel they are manly because they eat steak, about giving children food in school that is unhealthy and is not assisting them to really start out having good habits and develop their bodies and their minds. If we could just really stop living a lie, this would be a different city, a different country, and a different planet. And that's the goal. As challenging as it may sound, I'm excited to be part of that mission.
Right. Someone said you have a quote, you need to unlearn to learn.
That's so true. And I have gone through 4 years of unlearning. And first time in my life, I feel like I'm a student back in pre-K. I'm starting to learn, and it is so much fun.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, for doing the work you do. You look amazing. And I was very serious. I'd love to talk to the mother now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. And be safe, be well, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Bye.